Hello everyone, welcome to my math channel. This is Mr. Mahmoud explaining Algebra 2, Chapter 1, Lesson number 7, Solving Systems of Inequalities by Graphing. So, step number 1, graph each inequality, shading the correct area. Step number 2, identify the region that is shaded for all of the inequalities. This is the solution of the system. Means, if this is the x-axis and this is the y-axis and the borderline of the first inequality is like this one, let's say this is the line L1 and it has the shading in this direction. This is for example, of course. Now, if the borderline of the second inequality is this way, let's say L2, and the shading of this inequality, it was in this direction. Now you can see that the two shaded regions of the first line L1 and the second line L1, they intersect, they come together at this part. So this part or this region will be the region of solution of the system of two inequalities together. So it's like the common shaded part between the first line and the second line. Example number 1. Solve the system of inequalities by graphing. Y is greater than or equal to 2x minus 3. Y smaller than negative x plus 2. Let's talk about the first inequality. Of course, the borderline of this inequality is like y equals 2x minus 3 with slope m 2 means 2 over 1 and the y-intercept b equals negative 3. So the line will start, we will plot a point exactly at negative 3 on the y-axis and we move 2 units up, 1 unit to the right, 2 units up, 1 unit to the right, and so on. And you will shade it as a solid line. Now, for the second inequality, let's write down the borderline as y equals negative x plus 2. And for sure, the slope m is negative 1, means negative 1 over 1. And the y-intercept b is 2. So the line will start at 2 on the y-axis, moving down 1 unit to the right, 1 unit, down 1 unit to the right, 1 unit, and so on. So this is what's happening. Really, the first line, which is the solid line, it cuts at negative 3, as you can see. And we move 2 units up, 1 unit to the right, 2 units up, 1 unit to the right, 2 units up, 1 unit to the right. Then we join a solid line. For the second one, the y-intercept is 2, as you can see. And it moves down 1 unit to the right, 1, down to the right, down to the right, down to the right, till you join the dashed line. Now, the shading of this line, y greater than or equal to 2x minus 3, should be above the line. So, all the part above the line is the shaded of the solid line. For this line, y smaller than negative x plus 2 will be below the line. So, this green part will be the intersection between the two regions and it will be the solution of the system of inequality. So the solution of y greater than or equal to 2x minus 3 will take region number 1 and 2, and the solution of y smaller than negative x plus 2 will take regions 2 and 3. That's why region 2 is the common, so it will be the answer of the two the system of inequalities. Now solve the system of inequalities by graphing y smaller than or equal to 3x minus 3 and y bigger than x plus 1. Pause the video and try to choose the accurate answer, and you will find it B. Y, we know that this line is a solid line and this one is a dashed line, and the shading here will be below the solid, and this one will be above the dashed. So below the solid, above the dashed, below the solid, above the dashed, it will be this one. This is below the solid and above the dashed line. Also, to be more sure, you know that this line will cut at negative 3 with slope 3, which is this one, and this one will cut at positive 1 with slope 1, which is this dashed line. Another example. Solve the system of inequalities by graphing y is greater than negative 3 over 4x plus 1 and y smaller than negative 3 over 4x minus 2. So also according to the slope and y-intercept, we can graph this line and we can graph the other line as well. Both are solid line. So this is the first border line. It has y-intercept as 1 and it has slope as negative 3 over 4. The second line, it has y-intercept at negative 2. Same slope means two lines are parallel. The shading of this line is above, y greater than means shading is above the line. Here y smaller than means shading is below the line. The two shaded parts never meet, never intersect, so we are going to say the graphs do not overlap, so the solutions have no points in common and there is no solution to the system. Solution set is phi. Solve the system of inequalities by graphing y smaller than half x plus 4 and y greater than half x plus 2. It's clear that the two lines have the same slope. This is half and this is half. Both are dashed lines, so we cannot choose C or D. We are between A and B now. So for this line, the shading is below, and for this line, shading is above. This line cuts at 4. This line cuts at 2. In both cases, they cut at 4 and 2. So the shading will make difference. This is below and this is above, so the accurate choice should be A. Real world example 3. Medical professionals recommend that patients have a cholesterol level below 200 milligrams per deciliter of blood and a triglyceride level below 150 milligrams per deciliter. Write and graph a system of inequalities that represents the range of cholesterol level C and triglyceride level T for patients. So for the C, which is cholesterol, we need it to be below 200, means C below 200. And for the triglyceride T level, we need it to be below 150. Of course, below 200, we are not going to enter the negative part. So C lies between 0 and 200, and also T lies between 0 and 150. So let's see, represent the cholesterol level in milligrams per deciliter. It must be less than 200 milligrams per deciliter, and we can write this as 0 smaller than C smaller than 200. T represents the triglyceride levels in milligram per deciliter. It must be less than 150 milligram per deciliter, so we can write it as 0 smaller than T smaller than 150. Now graph all of the inequalities. Any ordered pair in the intersection of the graph is a solution of the system. So we assume that the triglyceride is the x-axis and the cholesterol is the y-axis. It doesn't really make a difference which one is the x and y, so this is our choice to make the t on the x and the c on the y. Now for the t to be smaller than 150, so we make a vertical line exactly at 150, and it's a dashed line, as you can see, because we don't have here or equal sign. And we will take all the region to the left, but we are not going to enter the negative part. Now for the C to be below than 200, we will make this horizontal line exactly at 200, and of course it's a dashed line because we don't have here or equal sign, and we will shade all the part below this line. So to the left of this one and below this one, they will intersect at this region. A category 3 hurricane has wind speed of 111 to 130 miles per hour and a storm surge of 9 to 12 feet above normal. Write and graph a system of inequalities to represent this situation. Let's say that W for wind and S for storm surge. If we take the S is the x-axis and the W is the y-axis, of course we need a scale to reach 9 to 12 on the S and 111, 130 on the W. So I'll move here by 4 and I start making two lines exactly at 9 and 12. So here at 9 and at 12. And of course the shading is between. Now I'll take here 40, 80, 120, 160, 200, and I need it from 111 to 130. 111 is nearly here, and 130 is nearly here, and the shading is in between. So this will be the area of solutions. So what to choose? What do you think? Is it A, B, C or D? Yes, very clear that it is A. Example 4. Find the coordinates of the vertices of the triangle formed by 2x minus y greater than or equal to -1, x plus y smaller than or equal to 4, x plus 4y greater than or equal to 4. Graph each inequality. The intersection of the graphs forms a triangle. Of course, to graph this one, we need to express it as an equation. So if you imagine that y will come to this side and negative 1 will be on this side, so it takes this form: y smaller than or equal to x plus 1. So it has y-intercept at 1 and it has slope 2 over 1. This is the y-intercept at 1, and the slope 2 over 1 means 2 units up, 1 unit to the right, 2 units up, 1 unit to the right. So it's this line. This is the first line, L1. Now for the second line, I need y alone, so I can take this one back there. Or I can say that if we leave it the same, x plus y equals 4 as an equation. If we set x as 0, y will be 4. If you set y as 0, x will be 4. Means it has x as 0, y will be 4, y as 0, x will be 4. So it has x-intercept at 4 and y-intercept at 4. This is the line. X-intercept at 4 and y-intercept at 4. This is the line L2. For the third line, x plus 4y greater than or equal to 4. Let's try to get y alone. So it's like 4y greater than or equal to negative x plus 4. Divide by 4 for all. So y is greater than or equal to negative 1 over 4 x plus 1. So it has y-intercept at 1 and it moves down 1 unit to the right 4 units. So down 1 to the right 4, down 1 to the right 4, then you can graph the line. Now the three lines form a triangle, and the shaded part is the area of solutions of the three inequalities. So the vertices, as clear, they are 1 and 3, 0 and 1, 4 and 0. Of course, if you have your calculator, and I'm talking about the normal scientific calculator now, or even the graphing calculator, you can consider these lines with equal sign and try to solve them together simultaneously on your calculator, and you will find the 3 points of intersection if you take two lines at a time. Now this is your turn to graph and choose. Pause the video and try to solve. Find the coordinates of the vertices of the triangle formed by x plus 2y greater than or equal to 1, x plus y smaller than or equal to 3, negative 2x plus y smaller than or equal to 3, and you will find it C. If it's a multiple choice question and you want to solve quickly without graphing, you can, if you have a graphing calculator or if you have the scientific calculator. Just take two lines at a time. Imagine there is equal sign here, and take two lines at a time. So if you take the first one and the second one, they will give you 5 and negative 2 as a point of intersection. If you take the second line and the third line together, they will give you 0 and 3 as a point of intersection. If you take the first and last, they will give you negative 1 and 1 as a point of intersection. So really C is an accurate choice. By this, my dear students, we come to the end of our lesson for today. Till we meet again, goodbye.